Good evening. Story time. We're going to read Basil and the Secateurs. It's a lost sheep book, and I love this book. This is my all-time favouriteest of favourite books. And I hope I can share it in a way that blesses your heart and your soul. So, what sort of tough times do people we care about go through? What sort of tough times do you go through? Do you think branches on grapevines ever go through tough times? Let's see what happens to Basil. Basil and the Secateurs. So we've got a grapevine full of grapes. And then we've got, that grapevine's been pruned. It's been pruned. It's been pruned. Oh, what's that? Oh, the Secateurs. Once there was a beautiful grapevine. Look at that. Isn't that grapevine gorgeous? And on that vine lived a branch named Basil. There's Basil. He's got his grapevines, his grape and his leaf. Let's have a meet him, have a chat to Basil, shall we? Basil looked at his leaf and said, "What a lovely, luscious leaf," and twirled his tendrils. His tendrils. What terrific, trendy tendrils. Try and say that 10 times quickly. Good gracious. Terrific, trendy tendrils. He gazed at his grapes. What giant, juicy grapes. Basil was a happy branch. He's a happy branch. Can you see his tendrils? And his grapes? And his leaf? They look pretty cool, don't they? They look pretty cool. Suddenly, a dark shadow fell, and there stood the gardener, and in the gardener's hands... What's that? What's going to happen to Basil? What's going to happen? No, not the Secateurs. Ah! Cried Basil. Oh no, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to Basil? Basil looks terrified. Doesn't he look terrified? Snip! Dear, I wonder what's missing. Basil slowly opened his eyes. He was still alive. He looked for his lovely, luscious leaf. It was gone. I've been pruned, groaned Basil. Where's his leaf gone? It's gone. Oh no. But Basil was not one to let things get him down. Well, at least I still have my terrific, trendy tendrils and my giant, juicy grapes, he said. Then the dark shadow fell, and there stood the gardener. And in the gardener's hand... What's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? Secateurs! Ah! Cried Basil. Snip! What's gone this time? What's he taking this time? Basil opened his eyes, and he was still alive. He tried to twirl his terrific, trendy tendrils, and they were gone. I've been pruned, groaned Basil. Oh, poor Basil. Basil doesn't look very happy, does he? Not a happy Basil. But Basil refused to let things get him down. Well, at least I still have my giant, juicy grapes, he said. Then the dark shadow fell, and there stood the gardener, and in the gardener's hands... Can you see what's coming? Poor Basil. Poor Basil, oh no! Basil. Snip! Oh, Basil. Look at him, he looks devastated. Poor Basil. Basil opened his eyes and gazed at where his giant juicy grapes had been. They're gone. I've been pruned, groaned Basil. Basil was down. Poor Basil. Doesn't look very happy, does he? He's a very sad Basil branch. He's very down. Very downcast. Have you ever felt really down? It's not fun, is it? Not fun at all. Then Basil heard a voice. Hi, Basil. He looked up, and there was the grapevine, and on the grapevine's face was a big smile. Basil, I'm the vine, and you are the branch. The gardener prunes every branch that has grapes, so that next summer you will produce even more grapes. Ah, sighed Basil. Doesn't he look so much more relieved? And sure enough, when the next summer came, Basil found he had a new, lovely, luscious leaf, more terrific, trendy tendrils, and a beautiful big bunch of giant, juicy grapes. How cool is that? I think it's even bigger than last year. Doesn't Basil look happy? And so's the vine. The vine's happy too. Now we've got the happy branch and happy vine again. What good things came out of Basil's tough times? What are some of the good things that have come out of your tough times? And the tough times of the people you care for? And there are always good times, and sometimes we just need to wait to see when those good times will happen, but they will happen. Now, this story is part from John 15, verses 1 to 2. And Jesus said to his disciples, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. He trims clean every branch that produces fruit, so that it will produce even more fruit. How cool is that? I love Basil and the Secateurs. Now, the next book I'm going to read is going to be Bill the Brilliant Branch. And if you missed it, the last one I read was not that one. Basil the Branch. It was part one in these three little book series sort of things. They're the only Basil books so far. I love the Basil books. They're so cool. Thanks for watching. Bless you. Love you all.